everyone, and welcome to another family art project with Studio 23. I'm Autumn, the education coordinator, and this is Sue, our children's instructor.
Hi everybody.
Hope you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving. I think I'm still in a food coma from yesterday, so bear with me. I feel like I'm running low energy today. So the project that we're going to do today is a fun little holiday project that we wanted to show you, and kind of came up with this idea because Sue and I were talking about our favorite decorations for the holidays, and we both agreed that my kids are grown, her kids are very grown. And we both agreed that still, though, that the best decorations to put up, even 10, 20 years later, are the homemade ones that kids made.
Love those.
Yeah, these are our favorites. So this would be a great one for you to make with your family today if you have nothing to do. This would be an awesome project to work on. So as far as supplies go, what you're going to need is some black and white paper. And you're going to need some pencils, and you're going to need some scissors, a ruler, you're going to need a glue stick, and you're going to want some watercolor paper. If you had to in a pinch, you could use some cardstock, but most likely you're going to want some watercolor paper. And then of course some brushes for it. An optional thing that you could do is you could grab some sea salt, or regular salt, excuse me, and some rubbing alcohol. And these are things that you can do to add to your watercolor to just add some fun little cool effects to it. But if you can grab all those supplies, I think you'll be good to go. And let me go ahead and get the camera adjusted a little bit, and we'll have Sue get started on the first part of it. All right.
So, hi everybody. As Autumn told you, I'm one of the children's instructors here at the studio. Hi, if any of my students are out there. So what you're going to start with are two pieces of paper, and Autumn told you there's going to be a black sheet and a white sheet. Now the size that your lantern turns out to be is going to depend on what size paper you have. You might not have these sizes. I just grabbed some out of our supplies. And so the lantern that I'm making is going to be a little bit larger. Yours might be smaller if you only have this size paper, okay? So all you're going to have to do to get started is decide how wide that you want that lantern to be. So that's the black area here of this paper, okay? So I took a ruler, and I'm just going to draw a line because I've decided, and of course my white sheet is going to have to be smaller than that black sheet. So I decided what size I wanted mine. Just took a ruler, I draw a line. If you don't have a ruler, use the side of a cereal box. Use just a side of a piece of cardboard, whatever, something that's flat, and it's going to give you a nice straight line. So then I decided what size I wanted my candle, the white paper, to be. And you just do the same thing. You're just going to draw a line, and you're going to cut it out. So when I cut mine out, I ended up with a piece of paper this size, and I ended up with a sheet of paper this size. So then I decided how I wanted to, let me pull this down here so you can see it, how I wanted the top to my lantern to be. So I kind of looked around and looked at old-fashioned lanterns because I like that old-fashioned style. And that's just a design that I came up with. You can see it a little bit better against that white sheet of paper. So you might want yours to look different, but how I did that was, and Miss Autumn, you were talking about symmetry with me earlier.
Oh yeah, so I just thought that this is a great way if you're trying to teach your students some art, basics, some art fundamentals. This would be a great time to talk about symmetry, because when Miss Sue cuts out her papers, she's folding it in half first. So she's basically making sure that the parts are exactly similar on each side, which that's symmetry, right? That's the definition of symmetry. She's also doing the same thing even on top when she cut out the, this top part here. She did it by folding the paper in half and cutting the shape once, then getting it on both sides. So that's a great little art lesson to throw in there for your student, a little lesson on symmetry.
So that's what we did. We folded it in half, because that way my design is going to be the same on both sides, isn't it? And then I just decided how I wanted it to look, so I'm drawing half of it, and I have a white colored pencil. You can use just a regular pencil, it's going to show up, but I thought if I did this, you might see it a little easier. So this is what I did on the top of mine. And then I just took scissors and I cut it out. So I'm just going to take my scissors. There we go. Again, just use the white pencil or even a white crayon. If you just have crayons, use a white crayon and just put your design on there. And then I decided at the top of mine that it should have a little opening, that it would be a nice place for an old-fashioned lantern to hang. So then I decided to go ahead and cut out half a circle. And then when I open it up, again, it's symmetrical. Let me put this in front of it. It's symmetrical, and there's the black lantern area, the metal area of my lantern. So I have this, and then I have this piece of paper cut out to the size I wanted, and I just made sure that this paper was cut so that I could see some of the black of my lantern showing. So that's all I did. I didn't have anything specific as far as sizes go. So I'm going to hand this over to Miss Autumn because she's going to finish the rest of this project here.
Oh, right. So thank you. So for the next part of this, we want to work on the glass and the candle portion of the lantern, right? So this is where we're going to grab our watercolor paper, or if you needed to, some kind of thick paper like a cardstock would suffice. And what you're going to do is you're going to decide what colors you want to use. Now, because we're doing a candle and we want to give the idea that it's glowing inside of the lantern, I figured it would be best that we went with all warm colors, right? So that's another great lesson for your student to talk about warm colors versus cool colors. Of course, your warm colors being your reds, your oranges, and your yellows, and your cool colors being your blues, your purples, and your greens. A great way that Miss Sue teaches warm versus cool in her classes would be, what was it again?
So the cool colors are the colors of the ocean, the blues, the greens, the purples, and the warm colors are the colors of the sun, right? Red, yellow, orange, and that's how we teach those.
So that's a great way to show your student, and again, throw a little bit of art terms in there and little art lessons in there, is talking about warm colors versus cool colors. So anyway, so for the watercolor portion, we are going to use warm colors. So I'm going to grab my paper, and you're going to want to draw out your candle first. Now, you could do it one of two ways. You could do a very geometric style candle, where, it's really just a rectangle, or you could do something with some more organic lines on it. And again, those are more art terms that you could throw out there for your student. So we're going to go ahead and go with this more organic lined candle, just because, I don't know, we like the way it looks. So you're gonna draw out couple of lines here, and then you're just going to connect them with this organic line that really you can draw anyway. As long as you're connecting those two, you'll be good. Then from there, you just want to draw the wick of your candle. Okay, pretty easy, a one line, and then you're going to want to draw your flame, and that is just sort of an almond shape. It's kind of how I explain it, but again, it doesn't have to be perfect because it is organic, right? So it doesn't have to be perfect. So there's our flame, there's our candle, and we're good to go to start painting. Now remember, and this is just our regular old Crayola watercolor palette. We love this because it has a lot of pigment and doesn't cost very much. So this is our favorite around here.
Miss Autumn, one thing you could also do that gives a little bit more realism to it is draw to look like the candle wax has melted in there too. So you can also draw that on there.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And you could get about as fancy as you want, I think, with your candle. You could even draw a pattern if you really wanted to. You could get it as fancy or keep it as simple as you want. So we're going to go ahead and make sure when you're using your watercolor, right? Make sure you're loading it up with water. It's pretty important for the watercolor paints, right? So you want to make sure you load it up with water, and then we're going to go in and we're going to start painting from the inside out. I'm going to do, like I said, my warm colors. We're going to do some yellow. I'm going to leave my candle white, so I'm just going to go in with some water and some yellow paint, and I'm going to blend it and spread it out. I don't want the color to be too intense for the yellow, so I am using a lot of water for this part. And I'm just going to spread that yellow out, go to the other side, put some water down, and let's spread that yellow out. And of course, the great thing about watercolors is if I decide, oh, I put too much yellow down, I can just go in with another color and blend them out. That's the great thing about watercolors. So I can take some of my orange and I can start blending that through. Now this would be also at some point here where you could say, oh, I want to try throwing some salt on there to see what it does.
Let's throw some salt on.
And if you've never used salt or rubbing alcohol, this is some of the fun effects you can get with that. Up here is rubbing alcohol, and down below is salt. So these are some fun things to play around with as well. All right, let's see. And then maybe I'll add a little bit of that red around the outside. So I'm going to put some water down. Let's get this guy out of the way. There we go. Get some water down. And we'll get a little red mixed in there. And you could even go back in and throw some more salt over top of it if you wanted even more. You could really play around with that about it, probably as much as you want. All right. I think that's
I love how you've gone from the yellow to the orange to the red. I really love that look.
Thank you. Yeah, I really want to make it look like it's bright and shining. You're really seeing that candlelight here, and then it's fading out a little bit as you get closer to the outside of the lantern. And then don't forget your flame. So whatever color you choose to do that, you could do it as an orange. You could do it the same way where it's kind of fading. I mean, you could really do it any way you want. But don't. So once you're done with that part, it probably is best to let that dry because we're going to be gluing. It wouldn't be too terrible if you tried to glue it wet. You just might have to use more glue. So for the last part of it, we're going to want to attach our lantern, get it all put together, and let's see. Miss Sue, you want to get that attached?
Sure. So I'm just putting my glue stick on the outside here, making sure I've got plenty of glue. There we go. And then I'm just going to decide where I want it to go. So I'm going to just eyeball it doing this upside down, but I think I can get it pretty well close to what I want it to be. Okay. And then of course I'm gonna keep using my hands to put pressure on it to push it down, so that I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna get good contact with my lantern. And depending on how thick this paper is, we actually used the watercolor paper. It might take a little bit longer for that to attach. So then you've got your watercolor candle over, and it's glued now, it's glued right down over that black lantern. So then you're going to be adding just a little bit of detail so it has a little bit more look of a lantern. So I'm going to let Miss Autumn finish that part here.
All right, so what I've done is I've just cut out some little pieces out of my leftover construction paper. I've just cut out some little pieces that just kind of create a little, I guess you could even just say a little decoration in the corner,
Yeah.
right?
So just strips of paper. You have strips of paper that you have left over from cutting out your black lantern. So if you have strips of paper, you can decide how you want to do this. You can do yours however. So she just put hers on the corners, but you might want bigger pieces on yours. You might want yours to be like this, maybe.
Yeah, this is another
So-
time where I think you could get really fancy with
Yeah.
it. You know, you could keep it simple or you could get
Yeah.
nice and fancy.
Yep, so take your pieces and just start putting them over that lantern and decide how you want yours to look.
And I think Miss Sue makes a great point. It's always better if you lay it out first and have an idea
Yeah,
of
definitely.
what you're trying to accomplish. So, you know, get your pieces laid out first, decide what you like. I decided I'm just gonna cover these corners, so I just cut out 4 of them, and I'm gonna glue these right down with my glue stick.
Yep, you might even want to take just a piece that goes across like this, and maybe a piece that goes across like this, so it's looks like more of a window type style. Let's see, I'd pull it over there probably a little bit more. So you could do something like this, and again, you could just keep putting your pieces down, maybe just crisscross, maybe a piece like this, and maybe a piece that goes over like this. So that's got a real lantern look to it too. So just keep taking these strips of paper that you've cut out from the remainder of the waste from the black paper when we made our lantern, and just keep putting them down and deciding. Maybe you'd want to do 2 this way and maybe 2 even this way. You could do that too. So there's so many combinations, there's so many things you could do to make these lanterns.
Oh, for sure. And then lastly, what I did on my example, I don't know if you can see it on here, but what I did is I took some more of those strips and I just outlined the lantern just to give it a little more, I don't know, a little more definition to the actual glass and candle portion of our lantern. So this is our holiday project, our family holiday project. Super simple, not a lot of supplies needed, so it's definitely something you could work on today. Of course, if you do, we would love to see it. Shoot us a message or even just send us a picture of it and let us know how it worked out for you. We'd love to see your holiday projects, and we would love to see, you know, make some memories for the future, you know, between you and your family.
And you could make a lot of these.
Yeah.
Pretty all over.
Yeah, these
the
would
house.
absolutely. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much to Sue, our children's
Oh, very
instructor,
welcome. Yep.
for bringing us this awesome family project. And we hope you have a fantastic weekend, and we will see you all next Friday for our regularly scheduled videos. Have a great day. Bye.